you want to develop a house from scratch, what extra elements do you need to do in your due diligence?
Yeah.
Is this a single house or a group of houses?
This says a house.
And what do they mean by scratch?
I don't know, like, I suppose.
What should we mean by scratch? Like from land without planning? Okay, so something that you would need. So I'm going to presume, right? I'll make some presumptions and assumptions that when you mean from scratch, you mean you want to buy the land, get the planning permission, build the thing you got planning permission for, and then do something with that, whether you want to live in it or rent it or sell it, whatever it is. So that's what I presume you mean from scratch, right? First step. Now we've spoken about due diligence quite a lot, so checking the area, knowing your figures, seeing what the construction costs will be, seeing what abnormalities you might have, and accounting for that. What percentage do we have for abnormalities?
We had 5% contingency.
5% contingency for abnormalities.
So like a regular resi.
For a regular resi, right? So the one thing that you will need to check out on your due diligence is do some digging around on the area that you're looking to buy the plot of land to do the development on, to develop this house, this residential unit. Check around the area to see how likely you are to get planning. So what do I mean by that? If you're buying a piece of land that's in the middle and it's surrounded by residential units, the likelihood of getting planning is quite high, right? But if you're buying a plot of land in the middle of nowhere, then you need to check whether it's in a green belt. And if it's in a green belt, then it's probably going to be protected and there's restrictions. And then you're not going to get planning. And then doing all the other standard stuff like checking the site for whether it's got protected trees and great face. Whether it's got protected trees, seeing if you can determine whether there's any protected species that might be living in the area. Land surveys, water, underground piping surveys. That's a good one that we learned recently. So you can get a lot of this stuff like the underground piping surveys for like 15, 20 quid. And then you can just spend a little bit of time looking at other planning applications in the area. The plot of land might have had a planning application on it previously, and then you can check whether it was granted. If it wasn't granted, why was it not granted? Just knowing the local area will help. Then other than that, if it's your first one, then you've got to find contractors. So do what you typically do. Go and speak to other people that are doing developments in the area, or properties, or agents. Ask them if they've got any recommendations. This is what I'd like to do. Do you know anyone that might be able to help me? Yes, we do. Here, talk to them, or talk to them, and then just follow the process through. But really what I'd say is account for the risk that you won't get planning.
Yeah, and also take into consideration extra fees for professional costs, QS,
Yep.
planning consultants, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So like all of those costs that would come in all those costs would come in a typical development anyway.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they? Like even if you buy it with a building on site, if it's a development, you still have to have QS engineers. In fact, if there's a building there already, you need sound engineers, so there's extra costs. And you don't need a sound engineer as much when you're building from scratch. So the biggest risk, I guess, is going to be not having planning granted on the site. So doing some digging and checking whether you can get planning on the site, that would be key.